Welcome to the Studio Chat podcast. My name is Barbara Thompson. Each week, I'll be bringing you a self-care expert or a message to help you to discover how to live your best life and understand your mind-body connection. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Now, let the Studio Chat begin. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode 76. Today, I have Patricia Martin with me. I'm going to say good morning for me, but I know it's good evening for you, Laura. How are you?
I am so excited. I'm like giddy in my heart. I'm excited for this. So.
I just want to share with my listeners that you're a dating and relationship coach and you help ambitious women to find love. And I was flicking through my feed as we do, and you just came up and I was like, I need to talk to this woman. She's so powerful. She's so authentic. And I can tell that you've done the work to get to where you are, and then you provide a service to help other women to bring them up and really provide them to stand in their power and for them to be attracted to the same type of love where they're at. So not to be afraid to be both masculine and feminine, and to be a strong woman and not have this constant, something I can resonate with is being single, to having this constant record playing in our heads that we're too strong, no one will meet us at our level, we're too much, we're too powerful. So welcome to my podcast.
I'm gonna cry. I feel like you just like saw me. Oh my God. Thank you. Oh, it's beautiful.
I don't think I've made anyone cry that quickly.
I'm a sensitive soul.
Yeah, but this is for anyone. I think this is for anyone that is single looking for love. I think it also could be for anyone that is in a relationship, this chat that we're going to have today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's pretty much the arena that I work in.
Yeah. So can you share just with my listeners, like, where are you? I know you're across the other side of the world. Where are you? And just in your own words, how you've got to where you are today.
Yeah. I currently live in Florida in the US. And how I got to like location wise or like in my, well, I guess they kind of go hand in hand. I was going to say like location wise, how I got here or like my life.
A little, I know it's hard to say. We've only got like an hour, but just a little snippet of, I always find in podcasts, I like to know where the person is living and just to know kind of what took you to where you are. I've lived in Florida too, and I love it. So
yes, I honestly came here for an hour with an ex-boyfriend and decided, I mean, at that time period, I was like, oh my God, my entire soul like lit up. And I was like, I need to live here. And he's like, baby, all of his businesses are in a town that's 2 hours away. And he's like, I cannot live here, but he used to live here. And he's like, I can't live here. And I was like, fine, that's okay. Like, I'll just come every other like month and what have you. And we broke up and I was like, I'm selling everything I own and I'm getting a move. Because at the end of the day, I was like, my soul just like felt so home here. And it makes sense now that I'm here because everything has just been quantum leap. Like it just makes so much sense as to why I felt that way. And I truly believe my purpose of meeting him. I mean, of course, it'll translate over time. It's only been 6 months since that breakup has happened, or probably more than that now. But since that breakup has happened, but like that lesson very solidified for me where I was like, I met you to show me my home. And so now I'm here.
Oh, we've got a lot in common a little bit because I'm from New Zealand and I moved to Australia to be with someone and that didn't work and I'm still here. So yeah.
That was my first, when I came back to America, I moved to Texas because I moved back to America from living in Asia for 6 years after moving to Asia for another man, and then moved to America. And I was like, I'm going to find love. Met this guy. There were so many synchronicities to like everything in my life. And then moved to Texas with him. And then we broke up and I was like, why am I here? I hate it here. And then it was like, Florida doesn't want you because every time you try to move here with a man, they break up with you. And then it was finally this thing where I was like, oh, I'm supposed to move here by myself. That's what this is. And that was amazing. So I'm excited to hear how that goes for you.
Yeah. That's exciting because I think it's important that we know that we, like you said, synchronicities take us to where we need to go. And a lot of the time we think as females, we have a plan and we've got this checklist and we've got to do this and this and this. And when our lives don't turn out as the checklist that we've always wanted, sometimes it's a hard space to just allow ourselves to sit in it when it's so easy to look around us and go, well, how come they have got the perfect relationship, or how come they can attract the right love, and I seem to attract a love that starts and finishes.
Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things, I mean, when you can look at what your actual, and like what I tell my clients when that happens is like, how emotionally available are you really? And what are your patterns that are coming up here from your childhood? Or what's your subconscious programming in this? And how can we look at what that's actually happening? Because at the end of the day, especially with my clients, it's not that they struggle to find people to date. Like, that's not the problem. It's the love that lasts. That's the problem, because the attachment style comes out. And how do I actually heal that to feel safe and loved and have someone truly love me, flaws and all, to, know that there's staying power, that there's commitment power. And I feel like in this day and age specifically, we don't know what that is. Like, staying power through the hard, staying power in the messy, staying power through all of this. And the truth is, yes, we can have this plan and this checklist, but that's not how love works. Like, that's not how the nervous system works. Your subconscious doesn't give a freaking pickle about what your checklist is. It's going to do what it needs to do in order to be safe. And so when you can actually get down to the root of it, which at the core is what is your worthiness wound, and heal that, that will help put you in the right places. And to say, like, it's not like you fall in love right away. I mean, you could, that's fine. But it's you start to find the right caliber of humans, and then you put yourself back in the driver's seat of, I actually get to choose who I want to date now and who I want to go on this long-term journey with, because all these men are incredible men. And I want to see how this direction goes. And you put yourself back in that seat, as opposed to flailing around being like, no one chooses me. And you're responding from a trauma response. And that's often where I see that one playing out.
Yeah, no one chooses me, or it's hard, or especially with online dating, because, or Tinder or Bumble or anything like that, it's because it's such a quick, the choice. You feel like you've just got a choice at your fingertips, especially more the males and the females. And like, I feel like it's unbalanced in that way, that a lot of guys will be like, and women are just like, oh, I'll have that. Like, it's kind of, they have more power in that sense. I think.
Well, yeah, and it's a choice paradox. Like, we're all sitting there going, well, this is complicated and I don't want to stay in it. So let me just open my phone to thousands of other options, as opposed to, I'm sitting in front of this person and they're highlighting all of my insecurities right now. So what if I just sat in that? Like, what if I actually, not that I trauma spilled, and I don't necessarily believe all your relationships need to be this like soul healing thing. Like, you just get to become aware. And I can think of my relationship in the past where it's like, I could feel my old patterns of insecurity and abandonment or rejection and things like that. And it's like, baby, this is what I'm going through. And then I go get my team of healers and I go and I heal it. I don't try and have him be my therapist. It's like, okay, now let me go do these things. And you get to, that's what relationships are. They're going to mirror back to you what's happening from your childhood. But a lot of us are like, this is very triggering. I don't want to heal this. I now feel unsafe, because that's what our protectors are going to do. They're going to keep you in the loop that you are in, because that is safer to them, even if you don't like it. And then we just continually continue to repeat that pattern versus repatterning it and doing the uncomfortable thing and sitting with partners that are triggering us, or sitting with friends that trigger us, or sitting with coaches that trigger us. Like, anything that's a trigger is just an expansion, and that's all that gets to be. But yeah, dating apps and me, we have a special relationship of the way that I feel about that.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of them in many ways. But what I find, having a counseling practice, and I look after a lot of women, is I find that they don't know what they want. So when they say I want a relationship, or I want to have a boyfriend, or I want to get married, I'm like, fantastic. Tell me about him. What does he do? What is he like? What do you guys do together? What qualities would you like? And they all do the same thing. Look up at the ceiling, look around, and they're like, how do I get out of this? And they're like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, well, that's a great place to start. That's where we can start. But that's a common thing. So I'm interested to hear what you think about that. And then another common theme I notice is when they say they go on dates, and even we don't know how to date anymore. We have this fairy tale in our head of first date should be this, second date should be this. And I find that especially the females I see are like, when I hear the treatment of some of them, toxic treatment, and they hang around and like, oh no, he's had a bad day, or this will get better. And through my own healing, I've found this to be true. I say someone's got to show up as their best self at the very beginning.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And
It's a job interview.
that's how, apart from the love bombing and the narcissistic and toxic type of love, like any of that really, if you put all that on the table, whoever you're going to meet in that romantic sense is they're going to be there, even in a friendship sense. When you first meet someone, you're going to be on your best behavior. You're going to show your best traits. You want to be liked. And so when I see, a lot of females that are just really, really hurt and really let down by someone ghosting them, or by someone, I thought he really liked me, or I'm just really confused. And I say, we talk about the date, or we talk about the communication, to me, because I'm not emotionally attached, I can see it for what it is. And I'm like, oh, well, if he's interested, he'll call. If he's interested, he'll text. A guy will always show you. He'll make sure when he drops you off, right, so what are you doing tomorrow? What are you doing? Like, he'll make a plan before he's even left you. So I'm interested to hear of what you think of those things. First of all was just women not knowing what they want, but saying they want something. And the second thing is just the dating, the early stages of the weird dating stuff.
Yeah. So the movement that I lead is called the pre-housewife era. And there's a whole bunch that is to this. One of it being high achieving women. We get to have both things. We get to have our businesses and our passions and our things like that. And we get to be feminine and ravished and loved and like super and that kind of thing. And that's one. And then the other side of it is you also have to focus on being a teammate. A lot of us don't even think, we are so focused on, oh, I just want a husband.
Yeah.
But you get to be a wife, and you forget that part. It's not about just being claimed and having that title of I am married. It's you are now in a role of being a wife. You better train for that. It's just like saying I want to be in the NBA and you're like, oh, I've never dribbled a basketball in my life, but I'm going to show up and try out for the NBA. It's like, what? No, you practice your entire life. And this is something that you focus on and you work on it. And you work through your triggers and you work through your stuff so that you show up and you are at your best. And this isn't to say that you're fully healed by the time that you get to this person, but you do have to be your best and the best, because you're going to continue to go on this journey, because your relationship is going to reflect that back. And to think of, okay, list off all the things, and not even just like necessarily career, but like, what income level, what type of human, what are their values, what are these things? And looking at, okay, who is that? And that becomes your filter of every single person you meet. Is this person actually here, or am I settling? Because if you're settling, that shows me how your self-worth, again, needs to be worked on and neurologically reprogrammed. And so when you're starting to look at your list of who your ideal partner is, then you have to look at what type of person, what would they be attracted to? And are you that? Because if you're still confused by it and you're uncertain and you're just looking to be claimed, a person of that high of caliber isn't going to do that for you. They're not meant to save you. That's not what they're going to do. They're not going to pull you out of your self-conscious rut. They're not going to pull you out. And that's what a lot of us are thinking. This knight in shining armor is just going to come in and he's going to make me feel better about myself. He's going to sexually liberate me. He's going to give me financial security. He's going to do these things. No, that person doesn't want to be your daddy. That's not what that is. He wants to come in and he wants a teammate to build his empire with. So are you that teammate? That's where your work has to be. And so it's really giving thought into this entire thing of what type of teammate am I? Yes, what type of person do I want? Like, how does that feel? All those kind of things. But how am I actually showing up for that? Have I worked through my stuff for that person? Because if you're trauma spilling onto them and you are all these kind of things and causing drama, that is the masculine's biggest turn off. Like, they do not want that. If you are just going to be dramatic, they're like, if they're an actually healthy human being. I know there's some men out there that are like, I like the toxic ones, I love the crazy ones. No, that's not who we want, because that's just someone you're gonna project all your stuff onto. And then the second part of this early stage dating stuff, that's the thing is, I can give examples of this where it's like, I can think of going on dates when I started dating again, where it's like the questions are very different. They're not trying to get to know you. They're just kind of talking about themselves, and the dates are very quick. They're only like an hour. They don't have depth. You're anxious and insecure. You're not you don't know. It's kind of hypersexualized really soon, and you don't really know what's going on, and you don't know how to turn it off. Like, these things happen. That's not your freaking person. I don't know if I could swear on here. I'm kind of a
No,
trailer.
you can.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
not your fucking person. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's not your fucking person. It is just that is your trauma trying to heal itself, and that's your anxious attachment trying to repair itself and self-soothe, because what you're going to be doing is attracting someone that's avoidant that brings these things out of you. What's going to happen when it's a man that is actually husband material? He is going to be vetting you. He's going to be paying attention to how you treat the staff. He's going to be asking you about your past relationships and how it's affected you. He's going to ask you what your big visions of your life is. He's going to make sure that there is a date that follows the date that you just went on. He is going to make sure that the meal is paid for by him. There is going to be a follow-up. Your nervous system is probably going to be bored by this person, but you're still going to be intrigued by this person. That's what husband material is, because they're doing the same thing. They want to know, who are you? This is going to be the mother of my children. I want to know what you've been through. I want to know what's going on. This isn't all going to happen on the first date, but it's going to like the conversation within the first date is going to be, what are you actually looking for here? Like, and what are you bringing to the table here? And they're going to ask you those types of questions. And if you haven't done the work and you haven't gone on this whole alchemy journey to understand these parts of yourself, they're going to see right through you. And that's what you're going to start to see, because what I can even think back in my own dating life, because I have been through domestic violence, rape, cheating, abuse, like just all these kind of things, abandonment from my own father. My mother died from addiction, like all these deep wounds of myself that when a high caliber man came into my orbit, I was terrified of them because they saw right through my tough exterior. They pierced my soul because they knew about themselves. And so when they saw someone like me, I was like, I'm actually terrified of you to get to know me. So it was easier for me to play with the players because they couldn't see through my stuff because they weren't actually self-conscious or aware. Whereas now when I'm in the arenas with these high caliber men that are such gorgeous souls, they've usually had some type of past. They go to therapy. Not that therapy is a must, but for me, I am very self-aware that my friends like to say that I'm like ecstasy. If you've ever taken too much ecstasy, some people will blame the drug and say it was ecstasy's fault. Other people know that it just highlighted the fact that they had a lot of shadows they haven't dealt with yet. So my friends will say that to me. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. So when you are in the early stage dating, like, he's going to treat you with respect. He probably won't even kiss you on the first date. He's definitely not even going to try and sleep with you. He's a man that understands that. Yes, he's a man. Like, men, if you give them that opportunity and you're being that kind of way, they're going to play into it. That's what they want. Men do honestly think about sex all day long. Like, that's what they do. So it's not there. Yes, men will be men. It is your job to pace it. There should be this art of sexual tension. Like, that is there. You're not trying to be his buddy, but he's not going to try and sleep with you because that's not what they want if this person is meant to be my long-term partner. And so you can kind of start to vet people very quickly on these first date situations or early stage dating based on just these little things where it's like, how do you feel in their presence? How are they treating you? Are they treating you with respect? Or are they treating you like you're a walking sex stick? Like, you're going to know right away. Are they following up with you? Are they opening your door? Are they making sure that you're not walking street side? Are they providing for you? And the thing is, you touched on this, and I know I'm going in hard right now because this is like
Good.
my
No,
stuff.
that's what this is for.
Men are natural hunters. They love a challenge. They love a chase. If you make it too easy for them, and this isn't playing games, y'all, no one should have access to you when you have no idea who they are, and you're not going to know who anyone is for months, which means they should not have full access to you. Your time is the most valuable thing about you. Understand that about yourself. So that being said, when someone isn't following up with you, hasn't texted you, hasn't set a date with you, goodbye. You don't have to remind someone ever that you exist, because men naturally are hunters. They don't need for you to chase them. They're going to find it enchanting, especially in this modern weak men era. Not that men are weak, I love them, but like there is this like red pill thing that's happening, where it's like, let the woman chase you. No, because that's not the type of, at least for me or my clients, that's not the type of relationship I want to be in. So if that's the type of man that you or relationship that you want, that's not what I'm into. So if a man ever, he's going to set you up. He's going to try and see you multiple times a week, even if it's just for a coffee. He's going to be pursuing you. A lot of us are like, oh, but he's so busy.
Mm.
No, the guy that I'm seeing right now, he's like, no, If I want to see you, like, I'm going to make time for you. That's the thing that's going to happen. Even if it means I'm up till 1 a.m. doing work because I had to see you for a coffee middle of the day, that's how that's going to work. That's how a real man is going to pursue you. And a lot of us are suddenly going, oh, they're so busy and they have this going on. Absolutely not. If he really wants you, his natural primal instinct within his brain, he's going to hunt you, ladies. That's how that works. And you get to love it. And you just get to lean back into your feminine and come back to, where is my actual self-worth? Do I trust that I am the most rare and valuable thing on this planet? Because if I actually believe that, I wouldn't care if he wasn't texting me. I got other ones. I'm texting, and I got life to go live, and I got a business to run, and I got health to take care of. Like, you should be so busy that you forgot that he forgot to text you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. There's so many things I've been making little.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I know I just like went off.
But that's what this is all about. Because it's coming from the heart and it's coming from experience, and that's what I love. That's what attracted me to you and to talk to you, is you've lived the experience. And I've lived the experience from my father being a psychopath and me attracting that for 38 years of my life. Anyone listening to this podcast will know my story. And it's so interesting that when I was about to move to Australia 7 years ago, I've been dating this guy long distance for a year and a half, on and off. There's the first red flag, but hey, I didn't know that, right? And so I think it was maybe 6 months before I moved here. I went out with a girlfriend, had a few drinks at a pub, and she didn't like my partner that I was moving here for. And there were some guys that came up and started talking to us. And I hadn't started doing the work on myself yet. I didn't realize I had a very specific type, and that type kept getting worse and worse and worse until I realized, okay. So in this moment, I still remember it. My story used to be, oh, no nice guys will ever talk to me because I'm very intimidating and I'm very strong, and only a certain type of man will come up. And if someone talks to me, I will say hi. Like, I'll actually say hi. I'm not intimidating.
Yeah.
But many men will be like, ooh, I don't want to go near her. And there's this one guy that came up to me, and you'll love this. He was so into me. And I remember he came up to me and just touched my arm, and he was like, oh my God, you're like the most, and he was genuine. He wasn't drunk. He was like, you're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. Gave me the ick straight away. I was like, ooh. And poor guy, I think I must have said something a bit, ooh, right, okay, how drunk are you? And he's like, no, I'm not drunk. And he's like, I remember the puppy dog look in his eyes. He was just like mesmerized by me. He was just like, what is your name? I need to know you. And I was like, ooh. And then the whole night he kept following me around like I could describe like a puppy dog, like describe like, you know. And then he was just so into me. And then my girlfriend, I could hear her say, oh, I wouldn't bother with her. She's so into this guy that's not into her. Like, good luck. And because I was in a relationship, so I wasn't even looking, but I know that this guy was so into me and so curious and wanting to ask me questions. And you know, when a guy's into you, he has that. I've only seen that look once in a man, in his eyes, and I know that look. And I was like, ugh, it just repulsed me because I'd never had a man look at me like that. Made me a little bit, but at the same time, I was like, ooh, this guy's weird. Like, he's too clingy, he's too nice, like, fuck off. And then, because I was so loyal and like, no, I'm moving to Australia for this guy, whatever. And then like maybe a year or so down the track, my friend who I was at the pub with messaged me and she said, oh, you won't believe who I saw in the car park at the supermarket the other day. And I was like, why? And she said, I can't even remember his name now, but she said it was the guy. He's like, turns out his family owned this really successful building company. He was driving, it doesn't matter about material things, but she just said, the way she said, oh, he's driving this brand new Audi. He's got a woman that actually looks quite like you in the passenger seat, and they've got a newborn baby. She's like, that could have been you. And I was like, oh. Yeah. So that's interesting when you haven't done the work and there's a genuine nice, I obviously wasn't ready to see it. And I just remember that feeling of this guy that came up to me, and it was that look in his eye, and he was just like so into me. And it really grossed me out, and but he was such a genuine nice guy, and obviously I was really attracted, and all I knew what love presented itself was to someone to treat me like a piece of shit, someone to put me down, someone to not see my worth, because I didn't see my worth. So likes attract likes. So in that moment I was attracting someone that had so many addiction issues, cheated on me left, right and center, and was just a horrible piece of shit. That's not even half of it, but and really, if I'm honest with myself, and if people are honest with themselves, you attract who you are in a way. And so if I look back, how he was behaving and how he acted, those type of people can't love, don't know what love is, and really hate themselves. And if I was being really honest before I did all therapy and the work on myself, that's how I felt about myself.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And then it is so relatable. It's one of I mean, at the end of the day, it's not that they're incapable of love. Every single human on this planet is made for seeking love, safety, and security. Each one of us. Some of us just do it in a broken way because we weren't modeled. And it's funny when we hear things like this and we can bring it back to kids and looking at, we know the kid in school that is the biggest troublemaker is just looking for love. Like, we know that. That's what that is. They just never were modeled it. And so if we can look at ourselves in that same type of way where it's like, I just am the biggest troublemaker and I'm attracting these toxic human beings. And at the end of the day, I'm just like looking for love and I'm looking for connection and I'm trying this and I'm trying that and it's not happening. And it's like, we just get to love these parts of ourselves that didn't know yet. And then looking at these things, because I did the same way. It was like, I dated a guy for years called Tinder King who almost killed me, like because of how bad it got. And still it's like looking at that and it's like, but that's what I thought I was worth.
Yes.
You know, that's the type of love that I thought I was worth. And so anytime someone came, and you can think back to the kids again, if you take a kid out of foster care and then you put them in a super loving home, what do they normally do? Rebel. They normally fuck that house up. They try and run away. They're not used to it because they're told that they should love this. And at the end of the day, they're like, I don't love this. I feel super fucking weird. Like all these kind of things. And I remember this part of my story too, where it's like, after leaving domestic violence, and it took me 7 tries, I was the statistic. I ended up dating one of my very best friends, and he is a very nice guy. And I ended up crushing him into a million pieces, walked all over him. And I call it, and anyone that is listening from my community, they know it. It's the turning point, man. He was the guy that I was like, I never want to make someone feel like that again. Because the look in his eye when I broke his heart, when he goes, I love you. And I went back, why the fuck did you just say that? Laura, excuse you. No. And I broke his heart. And I was like, after that breakup, he broke my heart right back because we broke up for some time, got back together, and he broke my heart right back. And honestly, when we broke up the last time, I was like, fair. Like, that's absolutely fair. And I was like, and I'm never going to do that to someone again. And that's when I started this whole journey of uncovering trauma and regulating my nervous system and figuring out my patterns and making a whole bunch of mistakes to hopefully figure it out. And I ultimately have figured it out, and now teaching them to do the same, because we do that. Because when someone says, I want to love you, if you don't love yourself, it's hard. And a lot of us are like, but I want it. I want the knight in shining armor. I want the Prince Charming. I want this. I want the guy that's going to fly me around and pay for my things and do these kind of things. But the nice guy gives you the ick. So you got to work on that, because the nice guy is the nice guy. They're safe. There's some people that they're a little too nice. You know what I mean? But like for me, I'm like, I fully accept the fact that I love the bad boy that goes to therapy. Like, that is my type of man, because if you've lived too cushy of a life, you are not going to understand mine. And that's very important to me. So there is different parts of it. Like, you don't have to have the guy that has a perfect family and the perfect house and the perfect thing that's never have done anything in his life and repulses at the word trauma. Like, that's not necessarily someone that's been through some stuffs person, but it's okay to like the bad boy that's gone to therapy. It's just stop liking the bad boy that's still the bad boy and hasn't grown up yet. Like, that's the area that you get to kind of dabble in and do some work around.
Yeah, but perfect doesn't exist anywhere. We've all got something.
But there's people that genuinely, I've dated them. I've dated them because I attract very nice men where they're like, I have no trauma. And I just like stare at them. I'm like, I get it. everything's perfect for you. That's wild that you think that. I think I gotta exit stage left because that doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, everyone has stuff.
Yeah,
What do you
yeah.
mean?
That's interesting. It's interesting too, because I was in a marriage for 8 years and it was a domestic violence marriage. And
Mm,
I I literally was thinking in my head when you said this, so there must be some kind of connection between us, because you literally said the words I was thinking at the same time when you said you've got to love yourself first. And this is coming from a woman that I had never loved myself. I thought it was a woo-woo bullshit. Honestly, if anyone listening to everyone, I can't even get my words out, and that's weird. The universe is like, shut up, don't tell the secret, don't say it, never stumble on my words. What I'm trying to say is, I thought when people said I love myself, or I heard it was a thing where you go to therapy, I was called bullshit on that. I was like, no one loves themselves. It's a crock of shit. But now I'm in that place where I care for myself. I have boundaries. I know what I want. I know what I don't want. I know what I'll put up with. And I'll quite bluntly say to someone, fuck off if I need to. No worries. Doesn't matter if I've got no one in my life. I know I'm enough exactly as I am. And that's taken a long time to get there. But when you said you need to love yourself first, so many conversations I have with women that go off on this tangent. I'd rather have someone than no one. I don't want to be alone, and I just want to feel loved, however that looks. And I always say to them, until you love yourself, and I get the eye rolls, that's okay, I can deal with the eye rolls. But I say, until you genuinely love yourself and know what you're worth, you're going to keep it. And I know, because I did it for 38 years. Like, you cannot, that is why I'm here. I'm here to help anyone that will listen to say, and you have to be ready for it. You're not ready for it, you keep going, keep going. But you've got to love yourself first to attract someone that loves themselves.
Exactly. And it's okay that people are stepping stones in that. Like, if I look at, so after domestic violence, after breaking poor guy's heart, I dated a few people in between. And then this moment happened during COVID where I decided to up and leave Asia and come to America. And I kept having these manifestations about this man with his angel tattoo, and he'd fly me around to wherever the fuck I wanted, and New York, and Texas kept coming up, like all these things. And then I ended up meeting a New York pilot that had an anchor tattoo that moved me to Texas. Like, there's so many synchronicities that happened in this. And to say I fully loved myself when I met that man would be a complete lie, but I had done enough healing on myself at that point that when I met him, it was another lesson. And that relationship didn't work out, but it was such a beautiful relationship, such a beautiful ending. Like, no trauma was passed between us. It was just like, I can't love you fully, but he helped me establish who I am now because of the way he loved me so much, and because of the way that he saw me in the world, and because of what he wanted for me in the world. And so I think when we're open to it, we do get expanders, but I wasn't at that time looking for someone to save me. And I think that's the difference. Like, I just didn't even know that there was another deeper level of understanding myself and having compassion for myself and having grace for myself that I was missing. Because I was like, I love myself. Like, I'm all in on myself, and I take risks on myself, and I invest in myself. Like, I really have built up that muscle. But there was this other side of it that I learned through him, of grace and compassion, of being flawed and messy and insecure and jealous, and all of that gets to be loved as well. And I think we forget about that part when we talk about I love myself. It's like, no, I love the fact that I'm a fucking human, even though I'm in this industry. Like, I have insecurities. I have, when I'm not in alignment, I get wildly anxious attached. Like, I can feel it. I have the tools and I can bounce back, but like, it still fucking happens because it takes 1 to 2 years to change your nervous system based on the trauma that I've had. It's going to take longer than that. I'm okay with that. And, sometimes when we're like, oh, someone has to come in and save me, or I have to be X amount. Like, I hear it a lot. I have one more childhood wound before I can go date in the world again. And I'm like, no, because the way that you learned all of these wounds is through relationship, which means the only way to fucking heal them is in relationship. But make sure you have your team of healers and support in the process, because it's not that you heal them with that person because that's not your therapist. It's that you become aware of them because of that person. And then you go work with your team of healers to go heal that. And that's how that works, where it's like, it's not a full loving of yourself and confidence and walking into the room. And, who I am now is not who that man met, but who I am now became the woman I am because of the man that I met.
Wow. So why does everyone find it so hard? Especially what I'm seeing now, the 20-year-olds, like
Yeah.
obviously they're like a generation, they're 20 years younger than me. I'm in my early 40s. So I noticed that in my generation, there's two kind of camps. There's women that are in my age group that have either been married before and now wanting to date, and they're like, holy shit. And then the younger
Hmm.
ones that, oh my God, how do I say this? Uh,
They have the biggest commitment issues that we've ever seen.
yeah, but their standards, like,
Are
they'll
through the fucking roof. They're like, okay, good luck.
yeah, but at the same time, they give themselves, and look, I was at age one, so I get it, but
Mhm.
they have zero boundaries and say the 17, 18-year-olds, they're doing stuff that I did in my mid 20s. So they grow up really fast, but they're doing all these things that just with someone they've had a couple of conversations with, if you get my drift. And it's kind of like,
Mhm.
wow, what are you saving for the tank for someone that you love? Or
Yeah, and that's why there's a whole bunch of commitment. I mean, there's a lot to this. I have my own beliefs on a lot of it where no one knows how to sit in a breakup anymore. So I work with like late 20s, early 40s, right? And we're in this new era of, when I was in my era of healing my heart, I didn't have Bumble to go distract me. I didn't have social media to turn it off. I sat in my heartbreak and I listened to a lot of Avril Lavigne or something, and I cried and I felt and I healed. And then I moved on. Now, what I see happening a lot is we're using dating apps, and this is my own, this is one of my theories. And instead of sitting in a heartbreak, you just go on your phone so you don't have to feel it, and you're distracted, and then you're assuming that this next person that you fucking meet is going to somehow be the person that's going to remind you that you're not so lonely, that you don't feel rejected or abandoned or neglected or all the things that you feel in your current breakup season. So to avoid the feelings, because those feelings suck, and therapist, I don't want to talk about it because I'm too strong and independent and blah blah blah. So you're going to swipe in order to go get distracted, or you're going to drink, or you're going to go on social media, or you're going to build another business, or you're going to do something to distract yourself from the ache that you feel in your body. And then you're going to meet someone and you're going to project onto them all the things that you just did. But the tricky thing in that is that person is also doing the exact same thing because they also didn't sit in their breakup, and they also are doing the same thing because like attracts like. And then you're sitting there and you're going, fuck all men. And you're doing these kind of things and you're perpetuating the cycle because now you're feeling even more rejected and abandoned, and you're projecting now two breakups onto this next person that you're meeting. And it just builds. And I truly believe this in my core is what's going on here, because every single time everyone's like, when I went through my breakup, they're like, you just need to go on another date. And I was like, actually, I need to sit in this for the next few months because that one hurt. Granted, if your breakup is like, oh, we were dating for 2 months and blah, blah, like whatever. But like when you're actually like, there's big breakups that do happen, and sitting in that before bypassing or getting laid or drinking or doing anything. No, I just don't think anyone knows how to sit in their big feelings anymore. And the alternative of this, we live in a pop psych world. So everyone that is female, mostly, is sitting here studying about narcissism. Guys, narcissism is the least commonly diagnosed whatever on the planet, and yet everyone is calling everyone a narcissist because they didn't choose them. That's not how narcissism works at all. And at the end of the day, all of us are a little bit narcissists, because you should love yourself at the end of the day. Just because they didn't choose you and they just told you, hey, it's not in alignment for me, it does not make them that. Anyways, I digress. Also, I know I talk really fast. There's a slow down button on podcasts in case I have to
I
remind
don't need it.
like I talk really fast, I know. The other side is this pop psych where it's like I'm sitting here and I'm scrolling through what's wrong with everyone else. Oh, this is what's wrong with me. I have this anxious attachment. I have this fatherhood wound. I have this kind of stuff. And now we're just hyper aware of our wounds. So when we meet someone, instead of sitting here, we're like, you better, and this is part of the pre-housewife era, because a lot of us are so me focused, where we're like, you better protect my red flags, my trauma, because this happened to me, because I've been through domestic violence, because I've been raped, because I've been cheated on. You have to act this certain way. And because you're not acting this certain way, hurrah, here's what I read on Instagram, let me send you a post. No, that's not like, yes, their job is to have a conversation with you, but it's your job to heal your shit, not project it onto them and walk around with a whole bunch of red flags and protecting your trauma. They're there to teach you about it. And so there's that part. And then this other part where it's like there is a war on masculinity right now. Like there really is. A lot of men don't have role models. A lot of men, we're making more money now. Gender roles are really switching. So men, have the high suicide rates because they don't know what their role is in society. So women are now turning super masculine and emasculating men because we think the only thing men can do is provide wealth for us, and yet 42% of women make more money than men. And so you just slim pick into yourself, and you're not realizing that yes, you get to be masculine in your field, but with your partner you should be a little bit more feminine. So there's three brackets that I really see happening: is swipe culture, red flag scanning, pop psych, everyone's diagnosing everyone on fucking social media, and then the war on masculinity and women not knowing how to actually be a teammate and in their feminine, for men to actually rise into their masculinity and supporting them. And instead, you're emasculating them and shaming them for something that we've never been in this era before. Like, they don't know what they're doing. It's okay that they're figuring it out. Instead of getting mad at them, how can you better support them by being more in your feminine and more of a teammate?
Yeah.
Three ways.
It's tough. It's really tough. And then the easy way, if it doesn't work, I'll just leave. Doesn't work, I'll get divorced.
That one. Yep.
It's just so
It's too easy to leave. It's too easy to leave.
It's we don't need to commit anymore, and then it's just there's an easy way out. So no one wants to.
But to be fair, like, and I'm sure you see this with your clients, we're the first generation of divorce culture, right? Like for me, my parents fought for 25 years, but at the end of the day, we're the generation after. We all saw it, where it's like, oh, this is like an option. I can do it, so I can get the ring and I can get the cute little Instagram photos and say I was engaged a few times and do the things. And then it's like, no, we're forgetting that this is a lifetime. This is a lifetime. And I hear it from like my little sister, and like all, like it's like, oh, that doesn't even matter. Like, it's the kid, it's the sperm, it's the stuff. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, no, marriage is a lifetime. Like, that's the plan. This isn't like just a dating thing. This isn't a dating show. I know dating shows kind of fucked us as well, but like, no, this isn't it. This is, you signed up for a lifetime, which means it's going to be hard. Choose your heart. Be smart. This is why when I hear people say like dating's hard, I'm like, it fucking should be. It's your life partner. This isn't something where it's like, I swiped one time and oh my God, yay, you're hot. This seems fun. Let's do it. Like, no, there's months that should go into that process. And there's multiple people that you should be dating, not having sex with, dating and getting to know and understanding that there's billions of people on this planet. Like, there's just so much depth that comes to, like, we spend so much time building our businesses and putting so much thought into like what we want out of our life and all these kind of things. Why are you confused when someone asks you, what do you want out of a partner? That should be the least confusing thing that someone asks you. You should know. But yet we're just waiting to be chosen and not actually, like, we're like, oh, this is so hard. It's like, yeah, it's literally supposed to be. It's the Olympics. Like, this is like, you got to train. That's how it works. I don't understand what you thought this was.
Yeah, very true. It is hard. And it's just one of those things. One thing I do want to say before we wrap up today is I want to hear your insight into when you meet someone and you get butterflies. I want to hear what you think about that, because I have my own theory on that.
Yeah. So there's two different butterflies, right? I can think of my dates, right? There's butterflies of like, I'm gonna rip your clothes off and I'm kind of nervous and I know this is a trauma response right now and why is my body doing this, and oh my God, so like your body, this is why understanding your science, and this is alchemy of love, why I birthed this little baby of mine, because it's like understanding your body gives you autonomy. So when you start to feel these things, you're like, oh, that's a trauma response, which one are you? It's like, well, okay, what's going, like, oh, because you look exactly like my ex-boyfriend that I had a huge trauma bond with. That makes sense. I'm going to make out with you, but I'm going to go home. Cool. Let's go and wrap this up. Like, this is not continuing. I'm not repeating the cycle, but at the same time, I am a romance person. I'm a double Libra. We love, like all the things. So when I'm on a date, it's like, if I get butterflies because I'm nervous around you, because I'm like, oh my God, you're so fucking handsome. Like all these things where it's like, there's different butterflies. And I think the romance ones of like, I'm nervous about you because first dates are that giddy feeling that like I don't want this to end, but I also like, do you like me kind of feelings. I think those are beautiful feelings, but the kind of butterflies that give you, I call them the nervous poops, and you can't focus on work and you can't focus on doing things, and you're kind of just like like that part, run.
Yeah. Yep. The nervous poops and just my take on it is I always used to think it was a good thing. I always thought, oh my God, but he gives me butterflies. Till then realizing what it actually meant. And it's my body going, oh my God, fucking run. And I didn't realize it every time it was that. And because I haven't had a healthy relationship with a man yet, because obviously the guy that tried gave me the ick, because I haven't had that experience yet, I'm interested to know. And I hear that when you meet someone that is at your level where you love yourself and, healthy love, it's really yes, you may feel a little bit
really comfortable.
Yeah, you may
really
feel a little bit uneasy because, it's normal to be like, I really want them to like me, but that's a different type of feeling. But I have heard, I haven't had it experienced yet, but I have heard that it's really comfortable and you can kind of be yourself, and it's just different to what most people think a date should be is, oh, it's butterflies, nervous, my palms are sweating, all that kind of stuff.
No, it is that. Like, I can think back to a few dates that I've been on compared to the person that I fancy the most right now, where some of them are like, oh my God, like I am so dysregulated. I'm nervous about the text. I'm nervous about this. Like, am I doing the right thing? Oh my God. Blah. Like, granted, I'm a confident human being, so it's not as spirally as it once was, but like still, it's like, oh, anxiety is letting me know something is off here. What's off? And so I can inquire on my body, I can inquire from my past, and I'll do some type of my subconscious reprogramming to see what that is. Whereas now with this person, it's like, it's so calm. Like, I'm not worried if I don't hear, I don't think about it, I know because of the consistency, I will hear from you every single day, probably middle of the day, throughout the day, morning, night, like like I know you're going to check in on me. I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about what you're doing. I'm not, because everything just in my body feels so safe. And even like we were like eye gazing. We were practicing eye gazing, and that's when I started sweating. I was like, I can't focus. Like, my upper lip was sweating. And he was like, you have not been nervous this whole time. And I was like, you are looking into the gate of my soul. Like, and he was like, okay. And then we like breathed and I calmed down. But like, there's different forms of nerves where it's like you get to be nervous and yourself because you're cute. Like, you're just cute. And it's like, I'm nervous because this is intimate. This is vulnerable, but this is exciting, versus like, are you going to text me back? Am I doing the wrong thing? Like, there's an insecurity to one nervousness where there is a grounded, secure to the other one. And you'll know because it's going to be like, this is different. Like, this is okay. And then you get to play with that and see how that goes. And then your nervous system gets to calibrate to that. And then you're going to have the thoughts in your mind that we all do, that have been through some shit and had some toxic relationships, where we go, but I don't have the passion like I did. And it's like this thing, and you're like, no, that's a good thing. Like, it's okay. You're recalibrating. It's not supposed to be there that way.
Ladies, think of the guy that was giving me the ick at the bar, who was really nice, giving me the puppy dog.
Exactly. And it's the best thing. It's the best thing. And honestly, if it feels too much of a stretch to practice that, where I started to practice it is with my friends. So my friends wanting to take care of me, my friends wanting to love me and see my vulnerable side, and to cry on their couch, and to be intimate with them. And like, intimacy doesn't mean sexual. It means just really being myself with them and creating deep, deep friendships, not just networking, but real friendships, and investing in that. And that changed my entire relationship patterns, because I was like, oh my God, I can be loved for who I am by these incredibly powerful women. And that's what helps with getting in masterminds and getting in programs and getting in things like that, because sometimes you're not in that, they're not surrounding you, and so you do have to invest to find them. But getting in rooms like that and being loved, and then I was like, oh my goodness, okay, now my nervous system is calibrated for that to be safe. So let's see what I start drawing in, and your filter gets so much fucking faster. Like, you're like, that's a fuck boy. Definitely would maybe sleep with him, but we're not doing that anymore. We're strong, independent women looking for a husband. Okay, cool. This guy kind of gives me the ick. Okay, we'll remove him as well. This guy, I'm calm. Okay, that's new. Let's see how this goes. And then you get to just work through your magic in that type of way. Because at the end of the day, dating is just a self-experimentation process. That's it. It's not about finding the husband. It's about finding yourself. That's it. And then you find someone along the way. Because if you're on the path of finding yourself, there's no other option other than to find someone.
Yeah. So if anyone's listening to this and they're dating and they're struggling, or they want to be able to attract a healthy love, or they just don't know where to start. Like I know you've got a podcast as well called Healing to Happy.
Yes.
They can listen to your podcast, or I know that you've got Alchemy of Love. You have a couple of programs that people can connect with you. What's the best way of, if anyone's listening to this and they'd like to work on this with you?
Thank you. First off, this is what I want you to do. I'm going to come over to both our Instagrams. So Barb's and mine's Instagram. My Instagram is it's Laura Patricia Martin. So @ITS Laura Patricia Martin. I want you to share with us what your takeaway is. Do something with this. A lot of us listen to podcasts and we don't do shit. We're just listening while we're taking a shit. I don't know. Like we're just not doing anything. But I want you to, what is your takeaway from this? Did I just shock your nervous system with that? Great.
No, not at all. Nothing can shock me. I just love it because, that's
so many of us were like, okay, cool. But like, what I want you to do is come to my Instagram. It's Laura Patricia Martin. Tag both of us and tell us what your takeaway was and what your action is going to be because of it. Do something with this, because the people that get ahead and the people that actually change their nervous system, their relationship patterns, are the ones that actually take action. Beyond just listening is great, but take some action. So come do that. You'll probably get a message from my team because they welcome everyone, and then you'll get a voice note from me because I like to talk to everyone. And come hang out. Just it's a really fun time when relationships happen off these podcasts and on the internet and then in real life. And that's how we met. So
yeah, exactly. And it's good because I need, people to refer. If I resonate with someone, I can't help all my clients with certain things, and we all have different strengths. And in your field, I love it because you walk the walk and you've done the work, and you're a beautiful example of someone that I'm just all about people being their true selves and people just being real and saying stuff like that. Like most of us will listen to a podcast when we're having a shit or when we're driving, or like, that's cool. Like, I'm not PC at all. That's the way we've forgotten how to have fun. We've forgotten how to have a laugh. We've forgotten
everything's so serious. Everything we have to be a certain way. I'm like, no.
But we've forgotten when we meet someone, we have a true connection, how nice it feels. Yeah. How nice it feels to meet nice, good people, and that's what we're made for. We're not made for, I don't like dating apps, but we're not made for that. That's not how you need someone in front of you. You need to be able to look them up and down in certain places and be like, oh yeah, he's a bit of all right. And you need to be able to just see that person. Like, there's nothing better than doing it in person.
Exactly. Thank you so much. This is amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. I have really enjoyed it. And I'll just give you a heads up. When I have someone on my podcast, I do like you to, if you have time, like come on it maybe a couple of times a year, because you can be like my dating expert, and then get to know you. And then, I don't like to do a connection once and then like see. I'm not a one night stand kind of girl in all aspects.
We're here for long-term relationships, baby.
I'm here for commitment.
Yes, I love that. Count me in. I'll have to get you on my podcast as well.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and it has inspired you on your self-care journey. Please feel free to share this with a friend and subscribe over on Apple Podcast. I really love hearing your feedback. So guys, please feel free to write a review on Apple and let me know which part of this episode resonated with you the most. To fall in love with yourself is the first secret to happiness. To find out a bit more about Self-Care Studio or the Studio Chat podcast, head over to my Instagram page, self_care_studio, or on my website, selfcarebybarbarathomson.com.au. Really look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Look after you. And I'll catch you soon. Bye!